Welcome back to another video. This is Jeffrey from PSR Parts, and today we have a BMW X5 45E in for a OPF delete mid-pipe exhaust. We will code out the OPF errors with US spec software, and after a while we also will do a stage 2 maybe. To get rid of the automatic start-stop system in sport mode, we will also code in the Xtraboost mode. This is a newly developed mid-pipe from us, so it's 3D scanned. After that we have developed a jig, of course, to make the mid-pipe, and right now we're gonna first time test the mid-pipe on this car. On this car the DCE parts Xtraboost muffler has already been installed, so it's a valved rear muffler, allowing you to open and close the valves, which of course suits the OPF delete really well, because then you can also choose to have a silent car if you want to. So yeah, let's install the part and see how the exhaust sounds like. There we go, we have installed the X5 45E exhaust. We have 3D scanned the underbody from a X5 45E and a 50E. There's a little bit of a difference between the two, but we try to make a universal part. There are some parts that need to be different, so that's what we developed as well. So normally the OPF sits around this area. As you can see, we have a version with resonator, by the way. This is the one without resonator. The one with resonator is, of course, it means that the exhaust is also containing a mid muffler, which is not the case on this one. And on the original one here, you can see that this big box is the big box here is the OPF, which we just remove right now, and it connects to our Xtraboost exhaust. This is a used one, so this has been on the car for almost 2 years now. So that's why it's a little bit dirty, but as you can see, it connects to our new mid-pipe, which we just developed, and yeah, so we are now ready to start up the car. There we go, welcome on board the BMW X5 45E. We have done a few mods today. Yeah, so we have done already the X5 45E exhaust from DCE parts on this car. They have been driving around with it for almost 2 years. Very lovely setup, makes the car sound really deep without being too obnoxious. Right now we have also installed the DCE parts mid-pipe. So like we said, we 3D scanned it, developed a new model for it, and now we are testing how the car sounds. So the valves are open right now, and we chose for the non-resonated version to see how the exhaust would sound with our Xtraboost exhaust, of course. So we chose for the loudest option to get a reference of how the exhaust sound with the valves closed and open. So right now we are now driving around with the valves open in sport. Yes, we also coded in the Xtraboost option, which means that the car will remain on even when you come to a standstill at a stoplight in sport mode. Normally that only happens when you have the engine when you have the gearbox in manual mode. So let's hear how the car sounds on throttle. That's a very recognizable B58. Yeah, lovely sound. So let's make the car settle down. So we are now in 8th gear. Now you can definitely hear the difference between valves open and valves closed. Before, the valves closed mode was very similar to the valves open mode. But right now, when you close the valves, the car really settles down. So if you drive around like this, a little bit of throttle, the car is super silent. It's almost like original, at least from Onboard. These cars are of course super well insulated, so that helps, but with the help of the exhaust, the difference is now a lot bigger. So let's showcase you a little bit of acceleration from lower down in the rev ranges. As you can hear like that, the car sounds very sophisticated. It's not too much. If you do the same pull, so it's like 50% throttle, you definitely hear the car more. So yeah, really lovely that the Xtraboost exhaust is doing its job really well. But that's always the philosophy, of course. We want to have the cars be loud when you want it, and of course silent when you don't want it to be loud, on longer journeys, for example. So right now the valves are open. We head onto the highway and see how the car sounds over there. At least now you can definitely hear the difference between open and closed mode. Really a must-have on these cars. Of course, if we tune this car to stage 2, we of course also need to do the downpipe. The downpipe allows us to run 560 horsepower and 900 Newton meters of torque, thereabouts, which is of course a really lovely power figure to have. So let's enter the tunnel. Oh yeah. So let's head onto the highway. So that was a quick pull, and the car sounds really lovely. It's still very sophisticated, so we are now in 8th gear, doing highway speeds. Let's put it on cruise control. Even with the valves open, so the valves are open right now, the car is still really quiet. But if we now close it, all the deep notes get filtered out. So now it's closed. And you barely hear the exhaust anymore. But of course I like it to be open, because it's not too much. So this car also has the DCE parts stage 1 external ECU, which means the car runs around 500 horsepower and 720 Newton meters of torque. The ECU really brings the car to life. So of course the exhaust clips that you're gonna hear in a minute are with a car that has a little bit more boost. They might sound a little bit different from a car that's stock, but these cars of course really truly deserve a stage 2 tune to make it truly come to life. So yeah, let's head back to the workshop and showcase you how the car sounds from the outside. So to showcase you that the Xtraboost mode really works, if you put it back into sport individual mode, the car shuts down. Hybrid, of course, is also closed. It's also off, let's say it like that. But if we put it back to sport mode, Xtraboost, we finally got a mode that the car will remain, that the engine will remain on for the 45e. So Xtraboost works, which is of course good. I think with a downpipe, it will be perfect, at least for my taste. It will make the car sound a little bit more raw, and with that the car will of course come to life. Look, now when the exhaust is warm, you hear it rumble a little bit in the background, especially when you're below 2,500 RPM. But I like that. I like that a car has a little bit of a deep note to it. These days cars are so filtered out. So with this modification, I think the X5 45e is now a much more fun car to drive. Perfect family car, I would say. Yeah, they're super popular in our region because of the hybrid system. But not many people embrace them with plug-and-play parts, so that's what we've done for these cars now. Yeah, downpipes are also available, so if you want something to be tuned, so if you're interested in tuning these cars, we have the solution for you as well. So yeah, we are back at the workshop. I want to thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you think down in the comments, and yeah, see you on the next video.